I'm not the speaker, but I get to introduce our amazing speaker today. And hello, everyone. It's great to be with you. Matt is actually at his sister's 40th high school reunion, but because they were in a small private school, he was friends with so many of her friends. So he asked me more than a month ago, who should I ask? Will you do it? I said, no, I won't do that. But thank you. I said, the person you need to ask is Donna Clark Love. And first I'm going to say this woman has changed my life. She's been my mentor. She's been my big sister. She has been a spiritual director to me since 2006. And I promise you, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for her love. She loved me back to myself. And she has helped me love my husband. You may not think that's a challenge, but it can be, especially for this girl. It's all me, right? So, but what I want to tell you is a bit about her professional career, because we're in for a treat. And so Donna is an internationally recognized bully expert, motivational speaker, workshop trainer, conference keynote, and life coach. She is a certified trainer for Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and a certified mediator conflict resolution trainer. Some of the highlights, y'all. It's exciting. She's been on the NBC Today Show, the NBC Evening News to highlight successful school prevention models. She's been featured in Forbes magazine and Newsweek magazine and was provided commentary for Good Morning America. She's spoken to tribes over the world, and she's trained government employees and teachers on how to combat bullying and school violence. 2018, she trained and consulted with NASA at the Johnson Space Center and their employees on addressing peer conflicts, restorative practices, and digital bullying via social media. There's so much more, but it's my deep pleasure and honor to introduce you to this bright, talented, powerful woman who loves Jesus and who has changed my life.
I'm going to dismiss y'all because we have had class today already with Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Let me make sure this is right. Is everything okay? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about humor, and I'm going to tell you the premise of why I've chosen this. And first of all, thank you for allowing me to take Matt's place, because I know some of you walked in and went, Matt's not going to be here? I'm like, yeah, no, he's not going to. But I feel very grateful to talk to y'all. I'm going to be sharing some of my life experiences, and also I want to leave you with some things you can do, actions you can take for pursuing joy and humor. I don't think we naturally wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to be joyful today. That has not been my story, that sometimes I have to be intentional by writing a gratitude list or a prayer or calling a friend and talking to someone. There are ways that I work in my life, and I'm intentional about having fun and laughing and joy and humor. I do want to share one funny story. I have been, since 2011, I've been in the hospital many times for a rare condition that I have. And so I've had many experiences, and I've spent many hours in despair and praying to God, why is this happening to me? and all of this. But because of the years of being in recovery and my friends and family and my love for Mercy Street and everything I've been taught about having an attitude of gratitude has helped me rise above some of that despair. And I'm grateful for the tools I've been given to do that. But one funny story, and one of the ladies that enabled me is here today in this story. But I was in Memorial Hermann, and it's before they had the walkway. And if you're a woman, you understand, I had been in the hospital about 20 days. My hair was matted to my head, filthy. I don't know why it was not getting washed, but it wasn't. And I decided with my own devices, that I was going to make something happen. So during the afternoon, when the nurses were changing shifts, I got up with my IV pole. I had my hospital gown and a pair of sweats. And I decided that I was going to walk to Memorial City Mall because I knew that Visible Changes was there and they could wash my hair. So what I did, this is true, I snuck out of the wing, went downstairs, looked around, went out, and that's before the crosswalk. I walked across that busy street. I had my IV pole, yes, I had my IV pole and my hospital gown. And I was determined. I got across the street. I get into the mall, and I realized the Visible Changes is next to Dillard's on the other side of the mall. So I'm just walking. People are looking at me, and I'm like, because I'm going to get my hair washed no matter what. And so I get to Visible Changes, and she was just like, I think the woman was in shock about me standing there. And I said, listen, you got to work me in. I need my hair washed and styled. I'm not leaving here till it's done. She goes, okay. So I get it done, and I had the woman give me kind of a buffoon look, like a little, ratted at the top because it had been so flat for so long. I needed some height. And I go up to pay, and I don't have any money because I had not taken my wallet or phone. So I called a friend in here. Gay, raise your hand. Where's Gay? Right there. I called Gay, a lovely friend, and I tell her, and she goes, I thought you were in the hospital. I go, I am, but come to Visible Changes. I need money. She's like, what? Well, she came, and she could not believe it. She pays for my hair, my new hair. And she said, you're going to get in so much trouble. And so we got my IV pole in her car. She goes, I'm going to drive you back to the hospital. And she said, but I'm just going to drop you off in front, and I'm taking off. She said, I'm not going to enable you anymore. You're going to have to face the consequences of your behavior. So she pulls up, and I get out of the car, and she took off as fast as she could. But the funny thing was, I snuck back up. I was on like the fourth floor, I think. Got in my bed. No one noticed. But here is the most unbelievable thing about this. I had the same nurses, 2 nurses that were on that 12-hour shift. And y'all, they came in to help me, and they did not notice my buffoon hairdo. How is that? I have learned that we just sometimes have to laugh, and we have to step out of our comfort zone and try new things. I don't suggest that you do what I did, but it's kind of a crazy story. So let's talk about humor. Let me get this going. I'll put on my glasses. So here are what we've learned in the church, typically, the characteristics of God, all of these things. Omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, all of these characteristics. And I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, and I'm now Methodist. But I was taught all of these characteristics. But I'm here today to ask you this question. Did the characteristics below also describe God? Do we describe God as fun and lighthearted and humorous and playful and whimsical and creative? Because you see, I grew up in a home where there was a lot of despair. There was addiction and violence and pain, and that's all I knew. And I would go to church. My father was the chairman of the deacons of the largest Baptist church in Lubbock, Texas. Well, he well respected at church. And we would sit close to the front after there had been a horrible fight where he would beat on my mom. And I would climb out the window and go get Gracie and Ken, my next door neighbors. They knew Donna was coming. The doorbell would ring and they would call 911 or they would come over because I felt like it was my job to save my mom. And so I lived with a lot of terror and fear, and humor was far removed from my life. And through the years and through a lot of 12-step work and inventories, Bible studies and prayer, you name it, good therapists, I have learned that God has a purpose for my life, and He did not make me to live in that despair, that He wanted something better for me, that He loved me. And I am so grateful for a nanny. I cry every time I talk about her. I felt really loved by a grandmother. I called her Nanny, 9 years old. I was 9 years old, and I was having terrible dreams and nightmares. And one night she said, let's get on our knees. I want to touch your heart. And I just want you to ask Jesus, if you want to come into your heart and be with you tonight as you sleep. And I did. And I slept like a baby. I felt like that there were angels around. And I knew that Jesus was real. Because in my house, I would go to church and hear about this God. But this God was not showing up in my house. So I could not reconcile what was going on. But at 9 years old, I began a spiritual pilgrimage. And one component or attribute that has been a part of my life is humor. And finding things and ways to instill humor in my life. And I see God as, some days I still go back to that despair, but I see God as a fun God, a loving God, a playful God. And let me just give you some examples from the Bible. And David says that the testimony of the heavens above tell us about the one who designed them. And we cannot look at nature, we cannot look around us and not see that God is an unbelievable, spectacular, creative God because He made all of these living things. We cannot deny that. And I love this. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. The skies display His craftsmanship. Day after day, they continue to speak. Okay, just went back. They speak without a sound or word. Their voice is never heard. Yet their message has gone throughout the earth and their words to all the world. And there's so many scriptures that talks about the vastness and the majestic heavens and all creation. And when I think about it, what makes me laugh, why did God create the hippopotamus? It's so hideously ugly. But it's funny. You look at that and you laugh. It's funny. I cannot look at a monkey and not laugh, or a baboon. I love elephants. You know why? They have these huge ears, and this big trunk. And they're giraffe. All of the animals that God has made. And I think He does have a sense of humor. And I have come to realize that if God is going to be there with me in the suffering, can't He be there with me in the joyful times, the laughter, the fun, the playful moments? There's more and more about creation. So let's talk about the story of Sarah. And I love this scripture because I usually walk around, but I like to walk around it. I guess I'll stay put like Matt does. But God, he's usually sends up here, but God she said, has brought me laughter. All who hear about this will laugh with me. Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse a baby? Yet I have given Abraham a son in his old age. God, he enjoyed this laughter because he gave Sarah the name of Isaac, which means laughter. There is humor and laughter in the Bible. I like to rewrite this. I think that, for me, I think Sarah is an Eagles Trace retirement community, okay? And her husband, Abraham, is watching the History Channel. And, and she's complaining about her knees. She had a hip surgery and then a knee surgery, and her knees are hurting her. And she has COPD and, a lot of different things. And then, an angel comes to her and says, you're going to have a baby. And you know what? I think she freaks out because she thinks, how's Medicare going to pay for this? What is going to happen with this? And I love it in the scripture about Sarah laughed, the humor of it. And as we go down, I do think that David and Goliath, I love that story. And I think it's kind of humorous too. I mean, Goliath was this like monster, huge. And we have this, I think of David as a petite, handsome young boy, and for them to engage in battle. No one else knew what was going to happen, but David and God did. And I love that. It even says if you read some commentaries, it talks about not only were the audience, not only were they in fear, but there were some that were laughing because it looked so, preposterous. And then we go on. I keep going back. I mean, who speaks through a donkey, and the story of the talking donkey. And it's funny that the donkey is what reaches him. And, I love that. And then, if you cannot read the book of Jonah and not laugh. I mean, come on. He is running away from God. He gets swallowed by a whale, gets vomited on the beach. And, and he is running. And you read it and go, wow. But what I love about that story, though, is that if God can use a reluctant prophet like Jonah, he can sure use me. And another lesson of that story is that when we run away from God, he catches up with us. Okay, here's what you're going to do now. I don't like to talk the whole time. I like you guys to participate. I'm not going to ask you to do anything really risky, but what I am going to ask you to do, we're going to read the scripture in a minute. I'm doing a little different today with the scriptures. Okay? All right. I want you to have 4 in your small group. Get together. Oh my gosh, you're going to have to take a risk. Stand up and find 3 others and sit with them in like a little huddle. Come on, come on, come on. You can have 5. I can. Yeah, just let me see. I want to get 4. Have 5. Go with them. You're going to have 2 more. Okay. All right. Great. Okay, look at Donna. Woohoo! Woohoo! Everyone, look up here. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Now, you are in. Everybody look up here. Look at Donna. Thank you. Let me get your attention. I know you like to talk. I am going to count to 3, and you're going to point to the person who you want to lead your huddle. Wait, I haven't counted yet. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, point. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Now, raise your hand if you were voluntold in your group. Raise your hand. Okay, I have good news for you. You get to pick the leader. Uh-huh. A little different. Okay. Woohoo! Okay. Here we go. Now, leader, this is called, Matt talks about connections in community a lot, and we constantly need to hear it. I love how he says we walk each other home. I love that. But you're going to have a chance to connect, and the leader will start, and you're going to just introduce yourself. You don't have to tell your life story, just your name. Then you're going to share 2 things that make you smile, laugh, or bring you joy. And then I'll give that part. The next part is I'm going to be talking about the Harvard Happiness Project, and they've come up with the top habits that happy people practice daily. So in your team, and leader, you get to pick who's going to write. You're going to come up with what you think. Don't Google this, just think it. The 7 habits that happy people practice. You're going to write that down. Just one person on your team. You got that? And leaders, when your group is finished, raise your hand and I'll know you're finished. Are you ready? Go. 2 minutes. You ready? You ready?
We're just doing question 2. We're not doing 3.
Oh, let me go back. Now you're doing the 7 habits. I'll go back. 2 minutes. Yes. Quickly. 1 minute. One minute. Yeah, quickly, quickly. Just quickly, just brainstorm. Yeah. Okay, you ready? You got your 7? Okay. 45 seconds. Okay, 45 seconds. You ready? You're done? You're done, Nicole? Okay. Okay, look up here. Woohoo! So, even if you're not finished, that's okay. I'm going to go through these and see if you got some of these. And this is based on Harvard's 85 years of research. It's the most comprehensive research on happiness and joy that's ever been done. Okay, so here we go. The number 1 daily habit, number 1, cultivating meaningful relationships. Number 1. It says family, community, and friends. Here are the others. Practice an attitude of gratitude. Being optimistic, seeing challenges as possible new opportunities to grow. Physical activity. Committed to a spiritual practice. Managing priorities, knowing to say no or what to say yes to. And incorporating humor, fun, joy, laughter, and lightheartedness in each day. How many of you got a lot of them? Yeah. Good. All right. So let me just talk a few things about, because I want to get us out on time. What hijacks our joy? And, for that first one is we're not taking time to rest, to play, scheduling time with friends. Putting everyone else's needs before our own. I love this one. I'll be joyful when I get married, I get divorced, I get a new car, I get a new house. We just go all over the place. Holding grudges. Comparing ourselves to others. believing we do not have a choice in determining our joy. And the Q-tip, quit taking it personally. I used to walk around and if something was happening, and I used to teach school and someone was upset with me, I'd go, oh, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? You know? Most of the time, it's not even my business, and it's about them. So, we can practice this and not making our spiritual practices a priority. How about this? Hanging out with the Debbie Downers or the poor, pitiful pearls or the pious Peters. This is the Peter that comes up to you and you share a hardship. And Peter goes, oh, I'm so sorry that's happening to you, Donna. I can't imagine. That's never happened to me or anyone in my family. Oh, I'll pray for you. And so they walk away and I feel terrible. Like am I the sickest one on the planet, And the poor, pitiful pearls cannot find anything good in anything, right? I love this story of, this is a true story. A man received a trip to, it was like a sales award or something, right, with his family to Disney World, first class accommodations all the way through, flights, hotel, all the parks, just everything you could, time off work, paid vacation, whatever. He is complaining every day, oh, the heat. It's even worse than Houston. And he would find something to complain about. And, that's to me like a Debbie Downer. Expecting others to make us happy. That means me putting my key to happiness in your pocket. It doesn't work. Listening to and believing our own negative self-talk, saying yes to everything and everyone, even when we want to say no. When I first started teaching, I wanted to do a good job. I taught years ago in Spring Branch. And my principal would come to me and say, Donna, can you drive the bus this weekend? Yes. Donna, can you head up the faculty club? Yes. Donna, can you go ahead and coach debate this year because our debate coach is not going to be around? Yes. Donna, will you be on the UIL team? Yes. Well, after that year, I was ready to quit teaching, not because of teaching, because I was doing so much volunteer work. Thinking God has forgotten or abandoned you in your struggle, and not being intentional about making a meaningful connection. So critical. I'm not going to do the benefits because I think you know all the benefits of humor. Talking about meaningful connections, I want to share about a woman who passed away, and some of you know her. Her name was Miss Vivian, and she was an angel in my life. And when I decided to end my marriage, I felt that I could no longer live with active addiction. I knew that I needed to walk away. She was there for me. She was in a retirement community, and when I told my husband he had 48 hours to leave, and that when I came back, everything needed to be gone, I went to her house, and for 48 hours I wore the same clothes, same underwear, and I cried. And at night I would lay on her couch, and I would have my head down at the end where I could see her bed in her bedroom. Because I needed to know when I woke up in the middle of the night in despair that she was there. And that helped me. And, we talk about God as people. What is it? God is people with skin. What is it? Yes. God is people with skin on. That was Vivian. And she loved me, and she let me cry. But, boy, she would encourage me and tell me, this too shall pass, Donna. You will get through this. And you have a God that loves you, and I love you, and you're going to make it. And I found laughter with her. I went to all the meals with her. And I wasn't a resident, but they let me eat all the meals there. And we were at a table, and two of the women were like onset dementia, I guess. And I would laugh till I cry at their stories. They were hilarious. And I went to every meal, And it was my laugh time. I laughed at some of the stories. We laughed with each other. They loved me. They brought me little flowers. They were so sweet. And that's about, as Matt says, walking each other home. That's about being there for someone else and loving them through the despairing time so that you can. There's joy, to have joy in the morning. I love one of my favorite writers of all time, C.S. Lewis, of course, just unbelievable. And these are some Dominican priests, and I love this. Well, first of all, C.S. Lewis said, Christians are a sad lot. Wow. And then he paused and said, they take themselves way too seriously. I thought that was great. But you can read this, but the second one, spend time with laughing saints. And St. Teresa of Avila prayed that God would deliver her from gloomy saints. I think that's really, really good. And 3, read and listen to people who display the gladness of God. Now, this is kind of funny if you've never tried it. And when you read the scriptures, use an Irish brogue or Scottish accent. It will really, brighten up your world if you can do that. These are some of my pearls when life becomes a roller coaster. I didn't invent this, I read it. We still remember one, I guess, but climb into the front seat, throw your arms in the air, and enjoy the ride. Sometimes life is only 1/10 away from a full-blown circles. And what do? I quit. I quit before I get to that circus. Choose to be joyful and content and to accept life as it is for one whole day. Schedule time with a person who can always make you laugh. Watch a funny TikTok video. There are some really funny Christian comedians, too, out there. How about this next one? For one day, let go of comparing yourself to others, putting yourself down, and the need to get everything done on your list in order to be happy. Spend time in the outdoors and thank God for all the living things you see. And more pearls. Manage your ants, your anxious negative thoughts. Let them come. Don't judge them. Schedule downtime. Cultivate an attitude of gratitude. In my first years of recovery, I had a sponsor, and she would say, Donna, every night I want you to write a gratitude list, and I want you to thank God for what you have in your life. And every morning you get up and you write a gratitude list. We're going to start with 5, but eventually we'll get to the whole alphabet. You'll go from A to Z and write things you're grateful for. I'm like, I had the hardest time. I would write, I'm grateful for my lamp, my pillow, my window. and I did it because she asked me to do that, and I wanted to get better. And I do believe in the power of gratitude. Now, we're going to do this exercise. You cannot say the vowel E without smiling. I'm going to count to 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. E. Some of you need to say the vowel E all day long. Yeah. Just a minute, let me more. Okay, let me just. So I have a very wonderful theologian. I have a quote from him. He's not a theologian, but I love Mark Twain. Humor is the great thing, the saving thing after all. The minute it crops up, all our hardnesses yield. All our irritations and resentments flit away, and a sunny spirit takes their place. Oh my gosh, I love that quote. Love it. And I'm going to close with a really quick story of my time in New Zealand. There was a USA team. There were 5 of us, and we were hired to work with the Maori tribe, the population, 17% of the population in New Zealand, because there was violence, hostility, unrest, because the government was saying that the tribal schools needed to be closed down and assimilated into the public schools. So we had the job of working with both populations and trying to help them build bridges. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I felt inadequate. And I would get on my knees and I asked God, God, you work through me, because I don't even know what I'm doing. There's so much anger, and there's so much pain, and there's so much hostility. Help me to find a way to connect, because my job was working with the Maori tribe. You work. I love a pastor that I love always says, every time he gets up, he said, God, let me get out of the way and you do your deal. I love that. And so that's what I prayed. And I knew a lot. I studied a lot about the Maori traditions and tribal customs. But I knew that one thing that I could connect with them is through humor. Now, they thought since I was from Texas that I was a cowboy. And they thought, they had watched Westerns. And they would ask me, you married to a cowboy? I go, no, I'm not married to a cowboy. Are you going to marry a cowboy? No. They were really, really into cowboy stuff. And they have a greeting, which is Kira Ukuu, kind of hard to say, Kira Ukuu. That is their welcome to you. And I started, and I said, well, I want y'all I learned their greeting, and I want you to say howdy, y'all. Oh, they thought that was so funny. And we started with that greeting, and I began to be able to get to know some of the tribal leaders. And God worked. He opened doors. But it started with that humor, finding a way to connect with them. And I know that some of you have seen this, but when they really love you, they really appreciate you. You put your foreheads together. And, I think that's really beautiful. So I want to close with this, which has been my rock. And my nanny taught me this when I was young, and I memorized it. I say it in the morning. I say it in the evening. I say it when I'm driving. I say it, different times. And I love this. And it's, give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God. For unto thee will I pray. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning. O Lord, in the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and I will look up. Thank you for letting me share.